Hello guys, it's Steven here. Today I want to take you through a quick tutorial inside of Cinema 4D and After Effects. So it's just a simple animation that was done here. I just fell in love with the work and I decided to just replicate it and make it as a tutorial. I've decided to use the peg biscuit. So basically it's going to be the same thing, but just that the difference is peg. So we have to then model the peg biscuit. Alright, so the first thing we are going to do is to model the biscuit. So we quickly get a cylinder, reduce the height. As you can see, when I reduce this, when I click this button, this node here, and I just drag, the size is reducing. Then I can also increase the radius over here. Alright, so we want to get something like this. Okay, make sure the rotation segment is about 8. All right, I want to turn on the grid shading with the lines, okay, to see all the faces and the segments and the point. Okay, so the next thing I will do is to use the connect tool, make the cylinder a child of it, and then with the font mode, we choose average. Now the connect tool just binds all the faces together. The next thing is to make it editable. So I'll just click this button to make it editable, and what that does is that it makes it a single object. Now the next thing is to make a cut along this surface. Okay, we will do that with the loop or path cut, and to do that we just first go to the polygon mode, right click, go to loop or path cut. So we just cut somewhere here, okay, and that will be okay. So we'll go back to the selection tool. With this already selected, we'll select this, hold shift, select this, hold shift, and select these ones. So we have to make a selection that looks like this. We have to leave these gaps on the faces. Now I'll show you why later. So we just right click and then go to bevel. We are going to make an extension from this surface with the bevel. So we click and drag with the bevel tool selected. Now, if you look at this button right here, you click and drop down, you see a history of all the tools that you've selected or you've used in your modeling process. Okay, so just have that in mind. So you can click and drag. All right, I'm going to use an extrusion height of about 4 centimeters. And the offset is the bevel itself, the edge. So that will be about 0.8. Okay. Realize if I increase the offset, there's this bevel that you see. You can see the bevel more than the offset with a lower number. Okay, so I'm going to use an offset of about 0.8. That's fine. Then the next thing I'll do is to use the bevel tool to extend the other faces as well. Now, there's a reason why I didn't do it together. If I selected them together, it would have extruded them together like the way these faces were extruded. So I have to make them separate, and that will make us get the desired model we are going for. All right, so right click again, go to bevel, or you just have it from here, then extrude. So we can just hit 0.8 again and it just re-updates. Okay, all right, having this done, we want to go back to the selection tool, the live selection, so that we enter the selection mode. We are going to make a selection of the cut we made over here. All right, so we go to the edge mode. All right, we have to make selections of the cut. All right, but it's going to take a lot of time if you have to just try and go inside here and select this. It's going to be a lot of work. So there's this feature in Cinema 4D that helps you select parts that are in loops. Okay, so we do that by going to the select tab, then you go to loop selection. Okay, now when you hover over the edges, you realize that it's highlighting the loops or the edges that are in loops. Okay, so I'll just select this. Then the next thing is I'll use the rotate tool to just rotate. All right, I'm going to rotate along this axis about 20 degrees, and that's fine. So this is the actual shape of the biscuit in low polygon mode. Okay, right, so I'll get the subdivision surface, throw the connect into it. Now look at this. This is the shape of the biscuit. All right, maybe I'll just have a quick render to see. This is the shape. Maybe I can just even increase the height. It looks too flat for me, so I can just increase the height of the extension a little. That's fine. All right, that's very fine. All right, next we are going to start with the simulation. But first, I want to quickly animate the movement of the biscuit in space. So I'm going to turn up the auto keying so that it automatically keyframes the movement, the orientation, that is the position, size, and rotation of the 3D object. So basically what I'm going to variate is the rotation and the position. So at frame 0, I'm going to be around somewhere here. Okay. Then I'll stop. I'll mark the keyframe. All right. So what it does is that once you have the object selected and then you click this button, it records the position in that time. That is the active object. The active object is a selected object. So it records the position, the scale, whatever that has to be recorded on that frame. Then I move ahead. I move forward this way. Then it automatically records another one so that this is the animation from frame 0 to 20. All right. So we have this. Now the rotation. I want to record the rotation as well. So maybe somewhere here and then somewhere here at frame 20. Okay, that's okay. So we have something like this. Maybe I'll just rotate it down a little. Okay, then at frame 90, I'll just have to do further rotation, just a little one. All right. Okay, that's fine. So we are done with the rotation. Let me just set up. I'm going to use Redshift engine, render engine, which is a third-party plugin. You can just get it online. You can get it for a trial version. You can also buy it. So get a Redshift renderer. And let's continue. All right, so I'm just going to set up the camera in position. I'm going to use about 50 mm. Sorry, 50. Well, 80 will look okay. So let's go with the 80 mm lens. In actual sense, it's 85 mm. So it's an 80 mm frame. All right. All right. The next thing we are also going to do is to use the Realflow. We are going to begin the simulation now. Now, the first thing you're going to get for the simulation is the emitter. In Realflow, there's the emitter tab where, or the emitter menu where you can find different kinds of emitters. We are going to go with the circle emitter. Okay, the circle emitter, we are going to have to reduce the size to a very small size. All right, now I have to position the emitter to a position that looks similar to the reference. Okay, so somewhere here in this direction, you have to make sure it's shooting right on the surface of the biscuit. All right, so I'm just going to play the simulation quickly for us to see. All right, so move to the first frame. Okay, so you can see the particles are just moving out of the emitter right from the first frame, but there's a lot of work to be done on that. Okay, so the next thing is to go to the fluid under the Realflow system. We go to the fluid, and then there are some things we have to check here. I'll first of all increase the resolution to about 100. I don't need much. I'll just increase it to 100. Okay, that's a lot going on there. And then in the emitter, I want to reduce the vertical random and then the horizontal random as well, so that it doesn't look too chaotic. Okay. Now the speed. The speed can reduce also a little. Okay, that's not bad. Then also the fluid density, let's make it about 2000. Let's see what that gets us. Okay. So I might have to just play with the values to get the desired emission. Well, there's a problem here. This emitter looks too wide. It looks too wide. All right. Yeah, this is better. This is far better. All right. Maybe we have to push it down a little so that it hits right at the center. Good. All right, I'm going to turn back the vertical random up and then the horizontal random as well. Okay, so this is looking good. This is looking good. Now in the fluid, I'm going to increase the resolution back up to about 200 so that we have more particles coming there. The next thing is to let's see. Okay, so the next thing is to actually make the biscuit interact with the particles. We quickly do that by right-clicking the biscuit, and there's a drop-down menu. You can find Realflow tags. Go to Realflow Collider. So we'll make the surface a collider with it, or calculate a collision with the biscuit. Now you realize that there's a lot of calculation going on. All right, so this is looking good. Okay, perhaps the direction of the emitter can be worked on. So let's just move it over a little. If I should change the view to about the top view, I want to move over here and then rotate it somewhere here. Will be fine. Let's play the simulation again to see. Okay. Okay. Now this is far better. All right. Okay, so maybe I have to move it down a little. Move it down. Tilt the head up a little. So there's a lot of tweaks that you have to do to just make sure that you hit this right on the nail. Okay, so let's play again and watch. Now that's better. The next thing I'm going to do is to give a little bit of naturalness to the emitter. I'm going to animate the emitter as well. So I'll activate the keyframing again, and then at frame 0 I can leave it rotated a little. Then at frame 40, maybe at frame 20, I can just rotate down again like this. And at frame 40, I'll just come back somewhere here so that there's a little bit of twirl in the particles. I can even move up a little this way. Okay. Okay. Now that's better. Okay. So I can even move down in the last frame, somewhere down just a little. Be careful not to just rotate it too much. Make sure it's very mild and settled. All right, so this is okay. I want to actually work on the collision object. I want to reduce the bounce a little and increase the friction. And then the stickiness as well. I can make the stickiness 0.4. Be very careful not to increase the values too much. The roughness, I can make it 0.1. Okay. Now this is far better. The next thing is to actually make the meshes, the simulation very visible. So I'll throw a skin on it and we call it a mesher. Now the mesher makes the liquid visible, right? So I'm going to use a low medium resolution for the mesher, and then I'll increase the smooth to about 5. The thinning will be about 0.8. I'll give it about 2 relaxed iterations. Let's see what happens. Now this is far better. You can see we are getting somewhere in the simulation. Now I want to reduce the radius to about 4. I'm realizing that the thinning is too much, so I just have to bring it back to 0.5. So we will just have to be testing, tweaking the values. So the next thing I'm going to get is the light setup. So I'm going to go to Redshift, go to light, area light. I'm going to position lights to mimic a studio setup. All right, so I'm just going to turn on the light here, the camera here. Turn on the camera, then move the lights up a little. Okay, make a duplicate of it, hold Control, click and drag, and that makes a duplicate. Use the rotation, 90 degrees. Then I might have to move it over to the right. All right, so it's basically a lighting setup. I'll make another duplicate, then I'll rotate it 180 degrees and push it down. So that will come from beneath. So I just want to preview the render to see how it's looking. All right, so looking at this, you can see the shadows and the highlight. I want the overhead light to be brighter than all of them. So that's the first one. Might have to increase the multiplier to 3, and that's better. So basically, this is the lighting we are going for. We are going to go ahead with the texturing. I'll go to create in the texture panel, then go to Redshift, create a material. We'll call this peck. Sorry. Just click and drag, and we call this liquid. All right, so click and drag this to the liquid, and click and drag this to the peck. All right, so you see some changes. These are the Redshift textures or materials. Now, quickly we go to the liquid, then you see the shader editor displayed. This is Redshift's material editor. So quickly, I want to select the Redshift material itself and change the color under the diffuse to something white or cream. Let's see how it looks. This is okay. I want to increase the roughness to about half of it and increase the samples to get better output. This is okay. All right, now I think we are done with the liquid. Now to the peck biscuit itself, we want to first of all work on the color. So I want to choose something close to the color of the biscuit. Yes, something like that. Something like that. I'll turn up the roughness to 0.5. Okay, I think the color should have more yellow, so should be closer to the yellow than it is. So okay, now turn up the samples as well to 128. I want to make the IOR 2.0. So we are getting there. We are actually getting the texture of the biscuit. Now the biscuit shouldn't look as perfect as it's looking now. I might have to turn down the weight of the reflection a little bit here. Now that's looking okay. I want to add some bumpiness to the texture, so I'll type in noise. All right, I want to preview how the noise will be distributed on the surface. So what I can do is to just connect the noise output to the surface directly to preview it. All right, so this is how it's going to be distributed. I want the scale to reduce a little, so I'll go to coordinates, then I'll go to overall scale. I can increase it to about 0.3, and that makes it smaller, and this scale is better. We want this scale. All right, so I'll get a bump map. Okay, type in bump map, look for the bump map, connect the noise to the bump map, go to texture, go to input. So I connect it to the input of the bump map, then I'll connect the output of the bump map to the Redshift material, click and drag it and leave it in the overall bump input. Okay, so once that is done, you can also connect the output of the material itself to the surface. Then you can see some bumpiness now. You can see some bumpiness now. I think this is okay. We can go further to create further layered shadings, but this is just for the purpose of this tutorial. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope it helped achieve something. All right, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.